With over 16 million albums sold, Stephen Curtis Chapman is the most awarded artist in Christian music history. He's won 59 Gospel Music Association Dove Awards, 5 Grammys, an American Music Award, and has released 50 #1 singles. This Thursday at 7 p.m., he'll be playing at the Ragland Theater in Klamath Falls. And right now, he's joining us here on Sunrise. Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning. Good to see you guys. Good to be with you.
Good to have you. Now, Stephen, with a career spanning over 3 decades, you have lots of music to choose from. What will the set list look like on Thursday?
You know, that is one of the, and I know it's a very first world problem, obviously, as to have had a career and been blessed to have, a lot of albums and a lot of songs. It sounds kind of ridiculous, to be whining about. It's really hard to figure out what songs to play, and it really is. That's one of the hardest challenges, and a lot of that is because obviously what I love about doing concerts, what I love about live music experience, is that the audience, in my case, thankfully, is really connected to so many of these songs. I've been doing this for 37 years now, and people will tell me, your music, this song, gosh, it's like the soundtrack for my life, my family, my faith, I got married. This song was, there. We got, we went on our family vacations. That song was there. When I lost my mom, my dad, that song helped get me through when I was in college. So you have all of these stories and all of these songs and, 20 plus albums now full of songs. So it's always a challenge.
Now, recently you were surprised with an opportunity to join the Grand Ole Opry. Can you tell us about that night and what that offer means to you?
So I grew up in Kentucky. So bluegrass music, all the music of the Grand Ole Opry is the sound of the music that I grew up with. And I remember as a kid, when the weather was just right, we lived about 2 hours away from Nashville, just a little northwest. But if the weather was right, you could pick up AM 650 WSM, which is the station that the Grand Ole Opry is still broadcast on and was then. And we would hear it, and my dad would turn the radio on, all the static, and then you'd hear this sound, and my dad would just get this look in his eyes like, that's as good as music gets. That's the Grand Ole Opry. That's like the ultimate, of where music could take you. So that was planted in my heart as a very young kid, my dad's dream of someday being on the Grand Ole Opry. So fast forward a few years, I'm 19 years old. I get my first chance to perform on the Grand Ole Opry. I was working at an amusement park, kind of a theme park that used to be built right outside the doors of the Grand Ole Opry called Opryland. It had rides and some, roller coasters, whatnot, but mainly it had live music. And I got a job as a 19-year-old kid to do one of the country music shows. And while I was beginning my career as a songwriter and all of that, that's kind of what I was doing to pay the bills. And I got invited to sing on the Grand Ole Opry. So again, my dad came, my mom, my brother, my grandmother, and it was just a big, big moment that I had made it to the stage of the Grand Ole Opry. So fast forward that to a week ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, when I'm, on the Grand Ole Opry playing. Now I play it pretty regularly whenever I can, whenever they invite me. And Ricky Skaggs it kind of comes out after I've played my 3-song set and says, hey, let's take a picture because you're going to want to remember this moment. I want to invite you to be the next member of the Grand Ole Opry, which is just an incredible honor.
Absolutely. That sounds like a really surreal feeling. Now, throughout your career, you've been able to collaborate with dozens of artists from across different genres. Are there any that stand out as your favorites?
When I was 19, years old, playing on the Grand Ole Opry, one of the artists and the stars that we would dress up and perform, sort of impersonating them in the show that I was in at Opryland, one of them was Ricky Skaggs. I was such a fan because I love bluegrass music, and he kind of brought bluegrass music, into sort of brought it forward and made it, cool again for younger people. And I just thought he was the greatest, and he is one of the greatest musicians that has ever lived. So when I asked him to come sing with me on my bluegrass album that I did a few years ago, and he said yes, and then we've done several performances together. We played on the Grand Ole Opry. In fact, the night that I got invited to be a member, Ricky invited me to come out and sing Highway 40 Blues, which is one of his big songs that I grew up singing, as a kid. So it's just moments like that where I'm kind of like, really, is this really my life and really happening?
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Stephen. It was really a pleasure getting to talk with you.
Thank you. Great talking with you, and look forward to seeing you guys soon in Klamath Falls.
You can see Stephen Curtis Chapman this Thursday at the Ragland Theater in Klamath Falls. The show starts at 7 p.m. and tickets start at $45. And you can get the VIP experience with box seats for $100. For more information and to purchase your tickets, you can visit ragland.org. Stephen, once again, thank you for your time this morning.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
We'll be right back.